So we're day 2 of our 7 days of calm, and I'm going to invite you to lie down onto your backs with me. And just let the weight of the body be held by the earth beneath you, so nothing to do. Maybe you just rest your arms, your hands down beside the body. Have the knees bent and the feet flat to the mat. And just feel where your feet are in contact with the earth. And just notice whether you're holding your body away from the earth. So is there any part of your body that you're pressing down because you can't allow it on some level anyway to rest to the earth? So maybe you find yourself pressing your lower back down, for example. Or maybe your upper back, actually. And just notice any tightness through your center, through your tummy. And tightness that you can notice, perhaps, in your pelvis. So we hold a lot of tension in parts of the body that we don't even notice. And often so focused are we, especially in our yoga practice, in what we can see, so the superficial muscles. And this notion that we need to stretch everything all the time to release tension, which I'm beginning to realize is actually counterproductive in many respects. And actually, the more we stretch, the more we pull and put pressure on the body, so that in many respects it actually resists and can sometimes tighten, or at least tighten deeper within. And deeper within, of course, we have our organs, and we don't really want to be putting too much pressure on those particularly. So, let's explore more of how we might rest into ourselves. So maybe we'll take a breath in and just let the knees settle in towards the chest. So nothing for you to do here. We're not pulling. The more we pull like this, the tighter the tension will get at the top of the thighs and your groins there. And I think of the groins almost as fabric that connects the legs and the torso together, through connecting through inner thigh muscles and pubic bones primarily, but we could think of it as the fabric all the way around the tops of the legs. So let's explore more of our feet as well, and the way in which our feet relate to the earth, or in this instance how they relate more to the ceiling. But let's find the ball of each big toe and the ball of each little toe, actually, and then we'll find the roundness of each heel as well. So the heels have bones, like a bone, and so the heels are almost separate from the front of the feet in many respects, and the toes kind of fill the feet. So now the ball of the big toe and the little toe are going to find more of the air above them. So we'll take a breath in, breath out, so you choose. And so slowly the ball of the big toe, little toe find more of the air. So they're attentive, the toes, the feet are alive. But there's still a sense of resting down through the thigh bones. So thigh bones resting down into your pelvis, supported by the earth. So as you rest down with gravity, there's like a rebounding energy up. And then we notice more of our inner thighs and how the inner thighs are in relation to your pubic bones. So we get maybe a little bit more intimate, actually. And we'll notice the knee joints. So maybe we notice that we can't see our knee joints for many years, actually, especially after a really strong vinyasa practice for many years. I'd actually lost my kneecaps because my thigh muscles were so bound down on the knee joints that the kneecaps, which are bones all in themselves, the patellas, were bound down. So I've had to do quite a lot of untraining of the muscles to release their grip. So maybe you have the same tendencies. So from here, anyway, the feet are going to find the earth again. So let's see if we might bring the ball of each big toe down initially. So we'll take a breath in and breath out. And so on we go, awareness of the breath and movement. And as you bring the ball of each big toe down, there's a slight turning inwards through your knee joints, so your hips almost become broader, as if they could fill the space either side of them. And the inner thighs almost sink deeper in towards your torso, so the ball of each big toe finds the earth first. And you'll find your lower lumbar spine will start to round away from the earth, and that's fine. So ball of each big toe, find the earth. there's almost a sense of softness through the inner thighs, that the inner knees turn in towards one another, and there's a broadening, like I'm saying, through the hips. And then we'll find, still keeping that broadening through the hips, we'll find the ball of each little toe. So you broaden almost the front of each foot, and it's almost like the feet are going forwards in space, although they're not, but there's a sense of that. And then in comparison, we find the heels, and we pop the heels down in such a way that they retain their roundness. So down they go in such a way they retain their roundness. And that might cause you to do something else through your pelvis, who knows. And then we'll rest the feet there. We'll notice the feet in relationship to the earth. And maybe we then, hands can find the outer thigh bones. Can you feel your outer thigh bones there? There's like a bony bit that comes out. And then from there, so we feel the thigh bones, the biggest bones in the body, right? And then we find the thighs there, just come a little bit further around, and at the front, the palms can rest on the thighs, on the thigh bones, but just a little bit more in towards the centre. And then very gently, just direct the thigh bones back and down as if they were headed towards your heels, okay? Just very gently, as if they were headed towards your heels. And see if you can do that without the whole pelvis moving. So it's almost like the thigh bones move within the pelvis, not with the whole of the pelvis moving. And you might start to notice, actually, some of you might feel like almost like I was going to say like a sick feeling, but I mean, that obviously has negative connotations, but just this kind of free fall through the tummy, actually, as we notice the tightness that was there, and maybe you feel your sacrum, that bony triangle bit at the back. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But just see if you can settle the thigh bones deeper back and down. And there's the breath, of course, let's not forget the breath. So we're breathing in and out, finding space within the body on the inhalation, so your breath coming in through the nose, filling the lungs as an expansion. And then let's keep that action of letting the thigh bones drop back and down as the hands, your beautiful tender hands, find the earth. And it's as if the hands could play music with the earth, right? There's that sense of sensitivity with the earth. And then let your shoulders, let your arm bones, the top of your upper arm bones, go deeper back down in the shoulder joints. So the arm bones go deeper back down in the shoulder joints, and that might free, you might feel that freeing a little of your shoulder blades, you might not. So how about we just lift the left shoulder up and just turn it inwards as if it's having a little peeky look towards, or sneaky look, towards the right side of the room, and then that can come back down. And then the right one can come up and just have a little sneaky look over to the left side of the room, and then that one comes down. And so we've still got our feet, the ball of the big toe, little toe, and the heel, and we've still got the hands, and we've still got the thigh bones dropping back and down in the pelvis. And we've still got the softness of the inner thighs, because there's a tiny little turning inwards through both knees and a broadening through your hips. And so then we might take a breath in and a breath out, and slowly, slowly, the buttocks and the back come away from the earth in such a way that they're supported by the feet and by the hands, so the buttocks are not gripping. The thighs aren't gripping either. We might think of the thigh muscles as almost being like having a lip to the inner thigh muscles there, like a lip on the inner thigh muscles, as if they were like lipping over, like a wave coming over the groins, and the groin's like this fabric that's connecting, like I say, the inner thighs and the pelvis. So we don't want to stretch that fabric either, because you know what happens to fabric if it gets stretched, it rips, doesn't it? We don't want to rip it. So we want to keep a deep connection, ball of big toe, little toe and heels, the fabric, the hands also bringing us even further up the spine, possibly freedom, through the shoulder blades, and we can feel the thigh bones, still this sense of dropping back and down, and maybe we start to feel more sense of spaciousness or tightness actually that we hadn't even realised was there between the pubic bone and the base of the rib cage. Okay, so we're not trying to get anywhere or look a particular way, we're just exploring movement in the body and noticing more of where we have tension in the physical body that's always going to have a mental element to it, mental tension, and often an emotional element to it as well. And that will have an effect on our spirits and on our energy. So on an exhalation, let's come down nice and slowly. It might be that you take a couple of rounds of conscious breath. Still the feet awake, still the hands awake, still, still, still. Think about the fabric, think about the softness of the groins. And down we come, letting the pelvis settle, letting the back settle. And then we're going to keep the left foot as it is on the earth, but let's take a breath in. The right foot can come away from the earth. And just let the right knee orientate a little bit towards the right side of the room, so the right sole of foot can see a little bit more of the left side of the room. And again, we'll just really notice the ball of the big toe, little toe and the heel. Okay, so the foot becomes more attentive, it's more awake. You allow more of its wisdom. You notice your right inner thigh and that sensitivity. They always say that, don't they? These are sensitive, soft places, often surrounding an entrance, a gateway. The mystery revealing itself within those gateways, within those sacred places, deep within us. Okay, and then we'll explore what happened, with the right knee almost settling down towards the earth and the right thigh bone settling in towards the pelvis as we start to open slowly, slowly through the back of the right knee. And still there's this kind of softness here through the right inner thigh. And then your right hand might find your outer right shin, or for some of you it might hold your baby toe side of foot. But try not to lift the right shoulder away from the earth. Let the right shoulder rest down and the right arm bone rest into the right shoulder joint. But then what we might start to do, and this might mean that some of you can't hold your right foot with your right hand, is we might just gently, and your left hand can help with this, gently orientate the right thigh bone back again and down in the right hip joint, so that maybe your right leg comes away from the earth in space, but still there's a real deep connection in the pelvis. And we feel the left foot on the earth, and we might stay like that. Or it's possible, and just again remembering this fabric at the top of the left thigh, we'll slowly release the back of the left leg to the earth, but release it in such a way that the sole of the left foot, the ball of the big toe, little toe and the heel, can see the right side of the room. So there's that sense of almost, even though the legs are apart, as if they could cross over one another. And those of you familiar with the term Garudasana will know what I mean. And if you're not familiar with the terms Garudasana, the eagle pose, it doesn't matter. But there's a sense of collection and a sense of, what's the word? Freedom, perhaps, coming from the feet, so the spine can find a little bit more space. The tailbone, notice the tailbone and see if you can release tension, any sense of being stuck from around the tailbone and around your sacrum. And your breath. Notice the fabric at the back of your right leg, so we're not trying to stretch that fabric, we're just opening more through the back of the right leg without stretching that fabric. And then we'll take a breath in here, and as you breathe out, we're going to release any hold we may have, any support on the right leg, and we'll bend the right knee. And slowly the right ball of big toe is going to find the earth initially, before the ball of the right little toe might find the earth, and then the right heel will find the earth, okay? That's it, good. And then we'll inhale, let's bring the left knee in towards the left side of the chest, in towards the left side of the chest. And just let it settle down with gravity. So you're not trying to stretch it away from the body. There's still a deep connection of the left thigh bone in the pelvis. But then we might start orientating the left foot towards the right side of the room ever so slightly, so the left knee turns outwards. And the ball of the left big toe and little toe and the heel become a little bit more attentive to the space around them, as if they could see the right side of the room. And then we'll see what might happen, or see what happens when we start to open a little through the back of the left leg, or the left knee joint. So we'll take a breath in, breath out. So again, just breathing attentively, moving attentively. Slowly, still the left toes can see the right side of the room. You start to open through the back of the left knee. Maybe the left hand supports the left leg. Maybe it holds, the left hand holds the baby toe side of your left foot. That's it. And there's a sense of this fabric at the top of the left thigh and through the left inner thigh. And then it might be that you can take your right hand possibly to your to your left thigh, almost like the left thigh bone, and just encourage the left thigh bone forward and down in space, like we were doing earlier actually. And just notice how that feels. So we're not trying to stretch or push or pull, we're just finding these little connections and how we might feel more ease in the body. And it's possible that your right foot starts to find more of the front of the mat, but the ball of the right big toe, little toe and the heel start to see more of the left side of the room. And again, we're not stretching that fabric through the top of the right thigh, so moving really slowly, attentively. And something might have to happen through your spine, who knows, just see how you move. And sometimes I know there have been stages during my life and my practice of always wanting to achieve more, of pushing and pulling, trying to take myself into positions that my body wasn't actually ready for, but my mind or my ego actually was desperate for me to get into. And I've begun recently more so to notice like these really unhelpful patterns of movement that I've created in the body, and how that's impacted at times on my mental state, and especially on my stress levels actually, like it stressed the body in some way and probably therefore stressed my mind. And I've not even been aware of it, that's a scary thing. So it's all layers really. So we breathe to each layer, you know, when we just starting out, we're just noticing what our right is from our left, and then just go through different layers, so we start to notice different parts of our body and how it connects in, and then we notice how that impacts our state of mind. And we notice the emotional element as well. There's always an emotional element, and maybe sometimes when we work really deeply like this, we tap into those emotions that have been repressed somewhere in the body. And emotion is technically, I suppose, I don't know if technically is the right word, but it's energy in motion, or actually often energy that's not in motion because we repress it in some way, block it. Okay, so let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, let's start to bend the left knee. Let the ball of the left big toe find the earth first if you can. And then the ball of the little toe, and then the heel. And let's bend the right knee and let the ball of the right big toe and the right little toe and the right heel find the earth. And just let that settle and just notice how you feel. And then from here we'll just roll to the right side of the body. And we'll come up to sit, and if we can, we'll sit in a way that means the left ankle is in front of the right. So left in front of right, and hands to the earth if you can. So just feel the hands on the earth, and we start to like notice, or we think that we've got short arms or long bodies or whatever, and that's fine. That's a story as well, that's a story we tell ourselves, so we'll just let go of that for a moment. The hands are where the hands are, and that's fine. But let's become more attentive of the ball of the big toe and the little toe and the heels again in both feet. And notice how when you become aware of the ball of the big toe, the little toe and the heels, the feet become more alive. And the ankles become more alive and receptive. And then the knee joints, and just there's still that sense that the inner knees, something within the knees, want to turn in towards one another. And maybe that takes the thigh bones deeper back in your pelvis without you pushing them back. And so if you have a tendency to do this, we don't want to do this, we don't want to flare the ribs and sink it, like over sort of sink it in the lower back, but equally we want to try and avoid doing this, where we round the spine. So we want to find, like, as always, the middle way, right? Only it was that easy. So we come to the toes anyway, feet, toes, up through knees, pelvis. Freedom of pelvis, and we feel the hands as well, let the hands rest there, and as the hands rest, See if you might rest almost up, arm bones back in the shoulder joints without taking the whole of your chest back. So just let the arm bones go back in the shoulder joints. It will free a little of your neck. Feel that. And then maybe we take a breath in here and a breath out. And don't change anything of your spine. So don't start rounding your back in any way or doing the opposite and shortening your back. Just come through your center. So keep the feet awake, keep the hands awake. Resting, feeling, feeding up, arm bones back, thigh bones back, but not taking the rib cage or the pelvis with them. And then we'll get to a point where we're actually just going to take the right hand forward and very slowly think about the fabric at the top of your right leg. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we'll take the right leg back behind us into pigeon, like a Padarajapatasana or a variation of it anyway. So we're not trying to stretch through the top of the right leg. Retain the integrity of your imaginary fabric there. And you feel still the left toes are awake and attentive. These are the left toes. You can see the right side of the room. And there's your left shin and your left thigh bone and your pelvis. And this fabric all the way around between the legs and the pelvis. And we'll take a breath in and breath out. And maybe you start to bring your torso down in space. And it might be, so we want to keep the shoulder blades free as well if we can. And maybe you rest your head on your hands. The head may come to the earth. Just notice what happens in your upper back. Try and keep some freedom there. And notice the left toes still seeing the right side of the room, and the right toes can still see the left side of the room. And all the while, there's a sense of being attentive. So notice your right knee, and almost allowing a collection of imaginary water in the back of the right knee. There's a sense of being awake there. And noticing sensation. So you'll probably notice sensation, I would think, in your left buttock. So breathe to that. Just notice where you're stuck. Notice if there's a sense of being stuck in the left buttock, and you breathe to that. So there's still this sense of spaciousness through the pelvis, as if the hips are expanding into the space around them. Okay, and then the hands will find the earth. Find the hands, find the hands, find the shoulders. Take a breath in and breath out. Let's come back to our starting position here. And then the left buttock can find the earth, and keep this fabric at the front of the right thigh as you bring the right leg all the way around. And in theory, the right leg now goes in front of the left leg in Sukhasana. And still these are attentive, awake feet, ball of big toe, little toe, and heels. And you feet up through the ankles into the knees, and you notice the thigh bones and the connection in the pelvis, and there's ease through the pelvis. There's a little bit of weight in your tailbone. Let the weight of the tailbone settle down to the earth. Not gripping, not sticking it out, tucking it under. And the hands, they find the earth, and there's a resting point with the arm bones up into the back of the shoulders. And maybe we'll take a breath in here and a breath out, and so we come forward slightly in space. Chest coming forward in space, just ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. And then this time it's the left leg going around the back, so maybe the left hand finds the earth forward. We'll take a breath in, and as you breathe out, left leg around the back again. Try not to distort this fabric at the front of the left thigh. And the right shin finds the earth, so the right shin. And the right toes are facing the left side of the room, that's it. And the hands can find the earth and rest up. And we feel the right thigh bone deep there in the pelvis. And the left thigh bone almost resting also in the pelvis, and the left toes. You can see the right side of the room a little bit. Can you see the right side of the room? Not so easy to see the right side of the room. And we might take a breath in and breath out. And slowly, 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 without stretching the head away. So we're not stretching the head away. The crown of the head retains a deep connection into the top of the spine. The tailbone, we release, we do what we can to release, holding around the tailbone. And the sacrum there at the back, there's a broadening, a softening through your sacrum, and still this sense of broadening through the hips generally. And the shoulder blades at ease from one another. And the breath, ultimately, it's all about the breath, right? Let's not forget that. So we're breathing in and out with awareness. Notice sensation again, we notice our tendencies as well. For many years when I practiced this posture, especially when I was encouraged to stay here for prolonged periods of time doing various trainings. It's tricky in itself, isn't it, the idea of being trained somehow. But anyway, it did reveal to me a pattern around how when I felt discomfort, so here was discomfort in the body, but I could feel it uncomfortably in the mind, was a tendency to run. All I wanted to do was run away as quickly as possible. And actually that was true in my life. Whenever life became a little uncomfortable, I would literally book a flight. I mean, living on an island. Definitely, I was always a need to run away from whatever it was. So I've slowly learned to sit with that discomfort, the physical discomfort, the emotional discomfort, the mental discomfort, and just see what's underneath it, which is often a fear for me anyway. There's often a fear, but mine was fear of loss of safety actually. Okay, and it was never real, it was just imagined, and it impacted my life for so many years, as you'll find out if you ever read my book, that I seem to be continuously editing from darkness come to light. But anyway, let's take a breath in, breath out, come all the way back up. Oh, and then the right buttock can find the earth, and the left leg can come all the way around, that's it. And then let's come down to lie on our backs again, so support yourself on the way down. And as we began the practice, again, feet can find more of the air above them again, so ball of big toe, little toe, and the heels, and here still are beautiful kneecaps. The body's just so amazing, and I just don't think we appreciate it. I didn't for many years. The history of eating disorder, which means I really didn't appreciate my body because I always wanted it to be different to how it actually was. Okay, so we take a breath in and slowly, slowly, the ball of each big toe can find the earth. Can it do that? Can they do that? I'm pretty sure they can do that. Notice what happens. Notice the tendency to drop. See if you can not drop them down. That means you're going to have to do something deeper in your thighs. And then find the little toes, ball of little toes on the earth. And sorry if some of you are going slower than I am. Do. And then the heels. And here we are, we can let the feet rest, and there's still the inner knees, something in the knees wanting to come in to greet one another, and in the process, maybe that softens your inner thighs, your beautiful inner thighs, and there's this sense almost of the thigh bones going kind of back and down and apart from one another, but not because you're stretching them, so you're not stretching them apart. And the hands find the earth again, beautiful hands. And then let's just come once again back into Centered Bandhasana, so bridge pose. So that sense of the thigh bones dropping back and down towards your heels, your hands finding the earth, and there's still that sense of freedom through the shoulders. And we'll take a breath in and a breath out. Just carry on with your breath, so move as slowly as you need to really notice what's going on. And come back to that idea again of this fabric, so the upper thighs and the torso fabric connecting, you're not stretching apart, and your thigh muscles almost protecting the groins as if the inner thighs were like waves, the crest of each wave facing in towards one another. And the hands, they find the earth. The hands are like, it's okay, spine, we've got the earth here, and the feet the same, and there's the breath. The breath. And then we'll come down with the breath as well. So the hands and feet have still got the spine. And then if it feels okay once you're down, again, and these are the feet that can still see the opposite side of the room. So the right sole of foot can see the left side of the room, and the left sole of foot can see the right side of the room. Initially, anyways, as the feet draw away from the pelvis, but still retaining a deep connection. And then we deeper. And the feet settle, and we might just roll the palms of the hands to face the ceiling. And just notice how you feel in relationship to the earth. You might feel almost as if you're in a hammock. Just let yourself rest into the hammock for as long as you can. And I shall hope to see some of you on the next day 3, right? So, well done and namaste.